Hi, and welcome to NetBios Hacking 101. I'm AfterBurn of UndergroundSecurity.com, and today we're going to exploit an IPC share in Windows 2000 Professional Edition. First what we're going to do is fire up a port scanner. Any port scanner will work. For the Win32 environment, I use Angry IP Scanner version 2.21. It's a pretty good scanner, it's pretty fast, very accurate. It allows you to scan a range of IP addresses as well as included ports. What we have to do now is choose our ports. So we go to Options and say Select Ports. And then we can type in our ports here, which we're going to do for NetBIOS is 137, 138, 139, 443, 445. We don't really have to do 443, but I'm still curious to see if 443 is alive on the machine. Next, we're just going to choose OK. We're going to hit our Start button. And I'm only scanning one IP address, and I happen to know this is the target IP address for this machine. So we've got our results here. IP scan 1, alive host 1 with open ports 1. We'll click OK. And it's going to show us here that our open ports are 139 and 445. This is a very good sign for us. Right-click here and go to Show Details. And we can see ping time is 0 milliseconds. Well, this is a local machine here on our other side of our network. The host name is training, and the open ports 139 and 445. Again, this is a very good thing. Now, what we need to do is open up a command prompt and start hacking the box. Okay, now that we've actively scanned our target machine and found in fact that we had NetBIOS ports open on there to perform a NetBIOS hack, we're going to do a few more things. We still have to gather a little bit more information about the target system to find out exactly what we can and cannot do. One of the tools we're going to use here is actually a tool included in Windows. It's a command line based utility, and it's called NBT-STAT. Microsoft specifies this tool as a tool designed to troubleshoot NetBIOS name resolution problems. It also has options such as a local cache lookup, a Win server query, a broadcast, an LM host lookup, and DNS server query. By typing NBT-STAT in a Windows command line, it'll tell you a little bit more about its usage. What we're going to do here is simply go ahead and type NBT-STAT dash capital A, our target machine's address, and enter. This here dumps the table showing us what workgroups exist. If we were on a domain, of course, it would show what domains exist. And here you can see that we have quite a bit of information to work with. Still, we're not done gathering our information. Specifically, what we're looking for here is inside these parentheses, or these greater than, less than signs. This is 20. This means that it has valid NetBIOS, and it is enabled, and it's ready to go. As I said, we still need a little bit more information about this machine, such as what kind of sessions does it have, what open shares does it have, what security identifiers or SIDs it has, what the local account policies are, password policies, and more importantly, we need to find out what the password policy's lockout time is. A password policy's lockout time will tell us how many times we can try to guess a password when we need to get a password access. What we're going to do is use a tool that I like to use called Win Fingerprint. This runs on the Win32 platform. I'm using it right now on Windows XP, and it works fine. So next, we're going to fire up Win Fingerprint, and we're going to check it out. Okay, we have opened Win Fingerprint version 0.6.2, and we're going to research a little bit more information about our target machine. Of course, as you know, the more information we have, the easier the hack is going to be. What we're looking for here is basically the Win32 OS version, which also helps us. We're looking for null IPC sessions, NetBIOS shares, which of course we previously found out in the NBT-STAT tool included in Windows from the command line. We're looking for the users, the services, the disks, the groups, the RPC bindings, the patch level, the MAC address, the sessions, and the event log. Here we can really do anything we want, but we need to just gather this information. What we're going to do is go ahead and type in our single host, and this is the IP address here of our host machine that we're looking to scan, and simply hit scan. Okay, our scan is complete, and it's found quite a bit of information that's very, very important to us. What is found here is password policy. Now we need to know our password policy for anything that requires a password to log into a system or gain access to a system. Minimum password length 0, maximum password age 42 days, minimum password age 0 days. Now this is important because we want to know how long this password is set to last before the user has to change it or before it expires. Now this is generally set by your administrator. Password history length is 0. Our forced log off time is never, so that's okay. Attempts before lockout 0. Now the attempts before lockout is the lockout policy. Basically what it states is that it only gives you a certain amount of time set by the administrator to log into a machine. If, in fact, you're unsuccessful for that X amount of times, the account will be locked. That's not good if we're trying to guess passwords or brute force into a machine. The time between two failed login attempts, 1800 seconds. That's good. Lockout duration, 30 minutes. So if in fact we do get locked out, we're only locked out for 30 minutes and we can try again. Well, we have a MAC address here of the machine, which is also good to know. We have our patch level. Operating system is version 5.0. It's an NT workstation, so it's built on NT technology. And we have a LAN manager workstation, a LAN manager server, potential browser, master browser. Here's where we really get down to the nitty and gritty. NetBios shares. These are shares that are by default or intentionally set as shared folders on the network via workgroup or via domain. We have here on training an IPC share. This is not a good thing. Also, we have a training, an admin default share. Again, not a good thing. We also have training, the default share of C, which is the main system drive. These three things are not a good thing for them, but a very, very good thing for us. And you can see that it's a remote IPC for the IPC share, a remote administrator share, not good again, and the C share, which is a default share. We have users. What we're going to look at is we have to look at SIDs. As we explained, SIDs are security identifiers, and they are unique to the system, to each account. Once an account's deleted, that SID number can never, ever, ever be used again in that machine's history. The administrator account has an SID of 500. And as you can see, it gives you more information here about the administrator to the computer or domain. You can see that here it has the actual SID number. And you can see again here, it's 500, which is already abbreviated for us here. It has a guest account, built-in account for guest access to the computer domain. Not good. That should usually be disabled on most machines. And we have the SID for the guest account, which is 501. And it says here, the login script executed. This value must be set for LAN Manager 2.0 or Windows NT. The user's account is disabled. No password is required. Password does not expire. So, we can see that the guest account is in fact disabled in this machine. But the administrator account, password does not expire. So it says that it must have a password. Next we find our groups. Well, we have an administrators group, which we know is basically a God account on a machine. We have a backup operators group, which is mainly responsible for backing up and things of that nature. We have the guest account, which we explained before. We have a power users account. It's pretty much like the administrator account, but with some restrictions. We have a replicator, supports file replication in a domain. And we have a users account. A users account is just a regular everyday user, and they're prevented from making accidental or intentional system-wide changes. Again, we have some SID numbers here. We have sessions. Now this is just a session that they have open to their gateway, which is 1.1 at the end of the Class C IP address. And we have some of our RPC bindings. We're not going to really get into RPC bindings, but these are important to know. Obviously, for this, we're just looking for NetBios and open shares. Okay, now that we've completed some basic groundwork, what we need to do is move on to enumerating user details, such as we did in the Win fingerprint. But now we're going to get a little bit more technical. We're going to try to enumerate some more account information, some weak passwords, and so on. IPCs further are going to be exploited with these activities. Specifically, you need to set up a null session. It is set up manually with the net command. Net command can be used in different ways. There's different net commands to be used. What we're going to start off doing here is using the net use command. The net use command we're going to use is to set up an IPC null session. What we have to do is type in net use, and we type in our UNC path, which is / our target machine address, / IPC $ for our default IPC share that we saw open in Win fingerprint. Then we're going to type in 2 quotations / U : quotations again, double quotations. Hit enter. The command completed successfully. Now, what we need to do is get into actually exploiting the IPC. We now have an account specified in our scans in Win fingerprint. The account we're going to try to use is the administrator account, because as we know, the administrator account is God on any Windows-based system, as opposed to on a Linux or a Unix system where root is the actual God account, or the administrator's account, if you will. What we're going to do again is use a net use command, and we're going to type in an asterisk here for a wildcard. We're going to type in 2 backslashes again, the target IP, / and now we got to put in a share. What we're going to do for share is we saw that our default share of C was open, so we put C $, and then we do a space, put another asterisk, again / U : and we're going to type in administrator here. And you can see it's prompting us for a password. At this point, there's a few different things you can do to obtain a password. You can try by means of brute forcing, or basically just guessing the password. There's a few different ways you can go about this. You can actually create a script to do this automated process for you. It's a looping script. Or you could use something called NAT. And NAT is a tool that will basically use a password file and a username file to try to guess the password and username combination. What we're going to do here for testing purposes is I happen to already have obtained the password for this account. I know that the password for this account is simply password. We're going to hit enter. And you can see that drive Z is now connected to / 192.168.1.131 / C $, which is our default share on that Windows 2000 machine, which is now part of our machine, and it has a map drive to our machine. I'm going to show you now in my computer that the Z drive actually does exist. Okay, here we are in my computer on our local machine here, and you can definitely see that we have the default C shared drive on that Windows 2000 target machine now actively mapped to our local computer here as our Z drive. Next, I'm going to open up this map drive and show you the contents of the C drive of the Windows 2000 machine. Okay, what I've gone ahead and done is opened up that map drive, which is mapped as our Z drive in our My Computer, to the default C share on our target machine. And as you can see here, as a proof of concept, we have C $, on 192.168.1.131 mapped as our Z drive. It's a network drive, and its file system is NTFS. What we're going to do now is create a text file. Basically, we are logged in as administrator, so we can pretty much do anything we want here. Notice that we have access to pretty much everything. We have documents and settings, program files, WinNT, which holds all your important system files and inside your system32. We also have some more important files out here, which is your autoexec.bat. We have your boot.ini, your config.sys, your io.sys, your msdos.sys, your ntdetect.com, your ntloader file, and your pagefile.sys. So again, what we're going to do as a proof of concept is we're going to go ahead and create a batch file. First, we start off by creating a text document. We're going to name this test.txt. Then, inside here, I'm going to go ahead and open this up, and we're going to type in @echo off, and then we're going to type in echo hello world, and then echo hacked by underground security.com. Okay. And what we're going to simply do is just save this as a batch file. To do that, just go to File and Save As. And we're going to save this as hacked.bat. Click Save. And we can go ahead and save this text file here as an HTML file as well. And what we'll do is we'll save this as hacked.html. Okay, and we can just close our text file here. We could even remove our text file if we wanted to. Okay, our text file is removed. Now what we can do is I'm going to show you the inside of that Windows 2000 machine and show you inside the root of the C drive that our files hack.bat and hack.html exist. We're also going to open them up and see, so this way you can see for yourself that it actually worked. Okay, as you can see, this is our Windows 2000 target machine. We actually have this set up on a VMware workstation, so it's easier to show you. What we're going to do now is simply go ahead and show you a proof of concept that this machine is actually our target machine we've been trying the whole time. And we'll prove that by, remember, the IP address was 192.168.1.131. What we're going to do is go ahead and open up a command prompt, go to Start, Run, type in CMD of course, hit OK. And as you can see, this says Microsoft Windows 2000, but just to make sure, I'm going to do ipconfig. And you can see, in fact, this is our target machine here, 192.168.1.131. Okay. And so we can just close this now. And what we're going to do is actually go ahead into My Computer and open that up. We're going to go to our root drive, local disk C, where we put our files from our map drive of Z in our My Computer. Now you can see that hack.bat, which we created before, is here and is present. Hack.html is also here. And music.txt. What we're going to do is go ahead and open up hack.bat so you can see a proof of concept. And here it is, hello world, hacked by undergroundsecurity.com. Press any key to continue because we put a pause in there. Okay, so what we can do is actually just close out our command line window here. We're going to open up our HTML file we created previously from our computer. And this will open up an Internet Explorer. And here you go, @echo off, echo hello world, echo hacked by undergroundsecurity.com. That's our proof of concept that this hack was actually successful and it did in fact work. The next part we're going to show you is covering your tracks. One way to do this is to create embedded files. Hackers generally tend to upload files to their machine to either get a privilege escalation or other means, perhaps leaving a backdoor, so they can gain access to the system again when they need be, without all the work. And if the system administrator patches the backdoor or patches the exploit that we found, we still have our backdoor. So we can go ahead and close My Computer. And now we're going to move on back to our original computer, our attacking computer, and we're going to show you exactly how to embed these files. Before I go ahead and show you how to embed files into the system, I'm going to also show you a nifty little trick that I've taken the liberty of doing for you. I've taken the liberty of doing the exploit again, but this time instead I've shared out the admin share here of our target machine mapped to our Y drive in our My Computer. What we can do here is basically access all the admin's files and settings. What we can do here is not maybe as extensive as what we can do in the main root of the C drive, but what we can do here is some pretty cool tricks, maybe as a proof of concept to let your boss know or your friends know that you can actually hack them. So I'm going to show you a few nifty little tricks that I've come up with in order to make it not so noticeable, but noticeable that they've been hacked. Okay, so I've went ahead and I logged in here to our shared drive, which is our Y drive in our My Computer, which maps to the default admin money sign share on 192.168.1.131, which is obviously, of course, our target machine. Now, a couple little tips and tricks here that I want to show you is I want to go ahead and scroll down here to our System32 file. I'm just going to take a second here to search out all the files inside the System32 directory. And here we go, it loaded up. Now what we want to do is we want to scroll down here as another little proof of concept, just in case you're not a firm believer by this point. We're going to go ahead and issue the cmd.exe so you can see we're actually having access by administrator privileges to our remote target machine. So here it is, cmd.exe. We just double click and go ahead and choose run. I'm going to bring this back here into focus for you. And as you can see, we're here Y and in System32 on Microsoft Windows 2000 version 5.01.2600. Now you can see basically if we want to just make sure we're in here, we can issue a dir, which is a directory command. And you'll see it's going to scroll a whole bunch of files and folders down our screen, which is basically listing every file and folder that's inside of our System32 directory. Now we should see here we got towards the end and we have 1,435 files. No big deal. That was just another little spiffet of a proof of concept for you guys. We can just go ahead and close this now. We can back out of this directory, and I want to show you another cool little trick, just to let our system administrator know that he actually has a vulnerability on his system without really giving up our identity. What we can do is go ahead here into the media folder. This is where all the Windows little sounds and chimes are hidden. What we do here is just go ahead and scroll on down. Now I've already taken the liberty of doing this, but basically what I did was I've created my own WAV file in WAV Studio here on my local machine, and I've uploaded it here to our remote target machine. And basically what I wanted it to do was make a sound or tell him that has a message that he's been hacked, basically when he logs off or logs on. So what I wanted to do is when it logged on, I wanted to tell him that he's been hacked. So what I did was rename the original file, which is Windows Logon Sound. I renamed it to Windows Logon Sound 1.wav, and of course I renamed my original file that I made here on our local machine telling the administrator he's been compromised to the original file name of Windows Logon Sound.wav. Now next I'm going to show you with our VMware workstation of the 2000 target machine what it's going to say when we relog on. Okay, so as you can see, we have our Windows 2000 target machine in front of us via our VMware workstation that we've set it up on. What I want to show you now is a little proof of concept that the administrator will actually be able to find out that they've been compromised via the WAV file that we were able to upload. And of course we were able to upload it because we do have administrative access and privileges to this machine. So in turn we did rename our file, and we're going to do it based upon the Windows logon. So it's going to tell the system administrator that they've been compromised when they go ahead and log back onto their Windows. So what we're going to do here is simply just going to log off the administrator. And you can see the administrator has been logged off. We're going to go ahead and log back in. And listen for the sound. It's going to tell the administrator that they've been compromised.
Hi, you've had your SMB tree walked, courtesy of undergroundsecurity.com.
And there's our proof of concept. simply states to the administrator that they've had their SMB tree walked, which is in fact what we've done. We've gained administrative access to their machine, to their side of their machine, and we are now them. This is not good. What they're going to do now is go ahead and find out what vulnerabilities were available and patch them. The problem is that the hackers will get locked out of the machine that they've already compromised once the administrator becomes privy to what they've been doing. So what hackers do are hiding files inside that system, whether it's to upload tools, to get a privilege escalation, or in fact to leave a backdoor in case they are locked out of that system by the patch that the administrator puts in place once they realize they've been compromised. The way to do that is hackers can actually embed files into other files and erase their original tools that they used. Next, I'm going to show you exactly how to do that. Another cool little trick I'd like to show you is making our applications, programs, or files run every single time a user logs onto this vulnerable machine. Now this user could be an administrator, it could be a power user, it could be a user of the regular users group, virtually can be anybody. Obviously right now we are logged on to the default share on our vulnerable machine, the C drive. That machine's IP address is 192.168.1.131 and is obviously, as mentioned before, mapped as our Z drive on our local machine here. What we need to do is, while we're logged in as administrator, go to the Documents and Settings folder, go to the All Users, because we want it to start up with everybody, go ahead and go to the Start menu items, go to the Programs folder, and go to the Startup folder. Now inside the Startup folder is what will be processed when Windows starts up. Basically, when you come onto your desktop, anything that's inside this folder will start up with your desktop. What we want to do is go ahead and place an index.html file in here, just for a proof of concept, of course. Really, you can put anything you want here. If you wanted to put an invisible backdoor in here, you can. So we're going to go ahead and just upload our index.html file. And once that's done, we're now going to show you on the Windows 2000 machine that this actually happens and shells out the index.html we've previously coded when Windows starts up to its desktop. As you can see now, we are on our target machine of Windows 2000. Our proof of concept is going to be seen here. What we did before is uploaded an index.html file into the All Users folder, Desktop, Startup, into the Startup folder. Now, every time a user logs on, like we said, this file, script, or what have you will be executed. So what we're going to do now is basically, just to show you the proof of concept, we're going to log off the administrator account. And when we log back on, you should see our index.html file come up inside Internet Explorer.
Hi, you've had your SMB tree walked, courtesy of undergroundsecurity.com.
And as you heard, that was our proof of concept from before. And here we have our new proof of concept, our HTML file. You've been hacked, courtesy of AfterBurn from undergroundsecurity.com. This is perfect. This is just another way to let the administrator or whatever users know that their system has been compromised. Okay, so here we are, and we're going to teach you how to embed files into other files. Basically, an attacker or a hacker, maybe perhaps even a cracker, would upload their own files to a system, whether it's used for privilege escalation or creating a backdoor for when a system administrator finds that there's been an exploitation of their machines and that they, in fact, patch the service or patch the vulnerability. So what we can do is we can create a readme.txt file, if you will, and we can upload our hack.exe, if you will, and we can map our readme.txt file to our hack.exe file. And what we can do is every time we can start the readme.txt file, we are actually starting the hack.exe file. The hack.exe file does not have to no longer be on that system. So basically, the system administrator wouldn't notice a hack.exe because it's not there. So what we need to do is navigate over to our System32 file, and when it loads here, we're going to go ahead and find our cmd.exe. Let me just scroll down here a little bit. Okay, and there's our cmd.exe. Well, before we open this command prompt, we're going to go ahead and create a text file. Okay, and we're going to name this readme.now.txt because there's already a readme file in this directory. Okay, so while it's processing, we're basically going to shell out our cmd.exe again from a command prompt because I just don't really have a file to upload in order to show you properly. So what we're going to do is go ahead, now that we have our readme.now.txt file, we're going to go ahead and open up a command prompt, and of course click Run. Let me bring this here into focus for you. And what we're going to do is type in a few different things here. We start off by issuing the type command. So we type out type, okay, and then we're going to use our hack file as our cmd.exe. So this is where your file that you uploaded's name would go. So we're just going to use cmd.exe. We use space or greater than less than sign, and we do readme now.txt, and that's the file we just created. That's 0 kilobytes. You can actually put some text in there to make it more or less conspicuous. And then we're going to do a colon, and we're going to again type in cmd.exe. Now this is what actually embeds the file. You see it's going to take a second here. And there we go. It's not going to give you any successful or any invalid attempts. It's just basically going to bring you right back to a cursor. The next thing we want to do is erase our file. Well, in this case we're using cmd.exe. Probably not a good idea to erase that. So if in fact you use something called hack.exe or something to that extent, you would turn at this point erase it. And how you erase it is just simply type in the erase command and the file name that you wanted to erase. So it would be hack.exe if in fact you were to use something called hack.exe. So our very next command, what we're going to do is going to basically finish the process. We have to start our file, but we have to start it in a certain way. So what you do is issue the start command, and then you do your drive, which in case we're in Y, correct? And you do system32 because that's the file we're currently in. And then you would do your readme now.txt, and then you would put your hack.exe here, but in our case we're using cmd.exe, and it should shell us out another instance of a cmd.exe for this testing purpose. We just go ahead and hit enter, and there you go. You can see another one popped up here. I'll bring it into focus, and I'll try to get both of them here in focus so you can see. And as you can see, we have two shells here now, two CMDs. And just to show you, we have actually two. Echo number 1, echo number 2, and there we go. So that's basically how a hacker would either upload and hide files besides using the attrib command, which will set certain attributes to the system file or the files at hand, primarily making them hidden, read-only, or system files. This is a much more efficient way to do it because you can disguise it behind another file, and it can't potentially be discovered this normal way because hack.exe in our case doesn't exist anymore. It's completely gone. So what you'd have to do is start, and you have to type out that syntax. So basically, that's how you would hide either a program to use as a backdoor, a script to use as a backdoor, or privilege escalation tools, something to that nature. That's how you do it. As you can see that this tutorial has been very in-depth, and it shows you the proper way to perform a NetBios hack and an SMB tree walk. There's more things you can do here, such as how to hash out passwords and obtain the hashes and crack the hashes. We're not going to go that far in this tutorial yet. We can show you encryption and hacking, passwords and hashes in some of our newer tutorials, some of our other tutorials. I appreciate you watching. Thank you very much, and take care.